ever since Newcastle United said they were going to look at Ruben Neves, there was hell breaking loose about Newcastle United doing it. And of course, the vote happened on Tuesday and was rejected, with only 13 clubs voting in favour for it when it needed 14. And Jamie Carragher has now decided to make his mouth go regarding the Tonali situation. So we'll have a look at that. Darren Eales has spoken to a supporter group and explained the system in place for expanding St James's Park. So he made some very, very interesting points on that. Calvert-Lewin is yet again linked with Newcastle United. And Steve Bruce, well, he's mourning again, guys. Let's dive in. This is the Daily News. Hi everybody, I'm Paul and welcome back to the Daily News Show here on the Toon Review. And before we get cracking, as usual, if you do enjoy today's show, please do stick a like on the video. And of course, if you're new, come and join this wonderful community by hitting the subscribe button. It is free to do so. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell, which will let you know when we schedule our live shows or we upload any videos such as this one. Right, let's dive into what Carragher had to say then. Now, obviously, he was talking on this podcast he does with Gary Neville and Roy Keane, etc. And he's been explaining why he thinks Newcastle United should be punished for what happened with Tonali. Now, I don't exactly understand what he's trying to get at here, and I think it's just absolutely pathetic, to be honest. He says he feels that Newcastle should pay for the Tonali mistake. Now, how on earth was it Newcastle's mistake that they brought in Tonali and didn't know anything about the online gambling and things like that? Now, he does say that Newcastle didn't do the due diligence. Now, due diligence into somebody's private life, that is why it's called a private life, because it's private. And I don't think any club who ever does a transfer looks into a lot of people's private lives. Yes, look, it stings. It stings the Newcastle fans. We're still really annoyed about the situation that we've lost Tonali for the season. But at the same time, don't come out and say that Newcastle didn't do their due diligence, because they did. You know, they'll have done all the background checks that they normally do when they sign a footballer, but had no idea that this online gambling situation was going on. And it's the same for Brentford. You know, when they signed Tony, did they know what was going on behind the scenes with Tony or what had been going on over the years? Of course they didn't. So it's not Brentford's fault either that they were landed with a problem without Ivan Toney. And it's the same with Newcastle. There's only so much you can do in a transfer. You can't look and have a look into somebody's private life. It's impossible to do that. You know, there's laws against doing that, for one. And Jamie Carragher is talking out his absolute backside yet again. He also said that the club should be hurt because we haven't done things in the right way. Now, Jamie Carragher, I don't know whether you know what's going on at Newcastle United or you know the ins and outs of the football club and you have background information on what Newcastle did in the Tonali transfer. I suggest you didn't. So why are you coming out with this absolute bull rot about Newcastle making a mistake and should be punished? Do you not think the club have been punished enough by spending all that money on a player and not being able to play him now until next August? That is punishment for the club that really shouldn't have been. Why should Newcastle United be punished for something that happened before he came to Newcastle? See, this is where you're talking out your arse, Carragher, yet again. And it's rubbish. And again, you're trying to put Newcastle in a bad way again. And it's the same with pundits, left, right and centre. You look and the complaining, pundits, reporters, complaining that the vote didn't go through. Look, it didn't go through. End of story. You can't cry about it. It needed 14 teams to vote in favour of it. It only got 13. Therefore, Newcastle are free to go and vote and loan who they want in January. They can do that because the vote didn't go through and not because they made a mistake or didn't do due diligence on Tonali. What an absolute ham shank of a comment that is, by the way. Shouldn't be allowed to go and get somebody like Neves. Why, Carragher? Why? Because the club have been punished for something that happened before he came to Newcastle? Tonali may have known what was coming. Newcastle certainly didn't. And we've been left in a very, very poor situation where we spent a lot of money on a player that we now can't play until next August. So to come out with that bull rot time after time after time is pathetic. You've embarrassed yourself yet again, Carragher, with those comments. Absolutely embarrassed yourself. Let me know in the comments what you think about what he had to say. Since Darren Eales has come to the club, he's always sort of had that reputation of being very close with the fans, getting a lot of the fans' input on things and making sure that whatever the club decides is also decided from the fans as well. Surveys and questions and things like that. And he's doing this again now with the expansion about St James's Park. He spoke to a supporters group and was very forthcoming again about what the situation is. What he did state was nothing has been planned or done yet. Now, people may have seen videos from people saying, oh, this is going to be done with the Gallagher and this is happening with the East Stand, etc. But he made a big point of saying that nothing has been said or done or decided. The process has indeed started to find a world-renowned agency that will start with a blank piece of paper and take St James's Park to the next level. Now, for me, that's very exciting. Because, as we know, they are only going to get the best people, the very best people in to have a look at the ground itself. But I like the way he says starting with a blank bit of paper and moving forward. What he did say was that it will not be an easy journey, this. And we know that because of the restrictions around St James's Park. The plan will be what is architecturally possible. So, again, he's well aware of the restrictions around St James's Park. But whether they can come to deals with companies or people that own sort of certain things around St James's Park, we don't know, and we never will. I think that's what they're getting this company in for, to see what they can do without the permission of people around St James's Park first. See what can be expanded. He's well aware that the 52,000 capacity is nowhere near big enough now, especially as the club are only going to get bigger and bigger moving forward. The demand for tickets is going to be huge for people to come and watch Newcastle United. That's why they're trying to get the fan zone started, get as many people in there as possible to support the club in that way. Now, we did say that supporter surveys will happen as well. So every step of the way, he's going to liaise with the supporters. And I think that's fantastic, isn't it? We're not used to this at all under the previous regime. But now, moving forward, Darren Eales wants to put out surveys and questionnaires to fans through every step of the way to make sure that the fans are happy as well with what the developments are going to be of their football ground. And I think that's an important thing to say, because it's not just the club who this affects, it's the fans, of course. What do the fans want? I know a lot, it's a simple question is the fans want to be able to get into the ground to watch the game. That's the first step. But the fans that are already there, and I think liaising with the fans like this is absolutely brilliant. But he's disappointed that everybody seems to have their own say on what can be done with the ground. However, it's rubbish. It's as simple as that. They haven't started any process yet in developing any stand. So any news that you've heard that the X, Y, or Z is going to be done in the stadium was quite rightly shouted down by Darren Eales. But for me, what he had to say about the whole expansion thing is very exciting as a Newcastle United fan to see our ground grown and becoming a world-class stadium. It's very exciting. Nothing was even mentioned about developing another site. They're very, very keen, obviously, to stay where they are and expand the cathedral on the hill. So I think it's great news that it's starting the process of finding a company who is going to get this and take it to the next level. Now, I must admit, I did have a little chuckle when I read these reports this morning, and it's not just from one place either. There's multiple reports again this morning linking Calvert-Lewin with Newcastle United. And I kind of think, what is the point of this? It's just a waste of ink or a waste of screen time. Calvert-Lewin has scored 3 goals in 9 appearances this season. Some may say that's a good ratio, but look at his injury record. We are struggling already with 2 injury-prone strikers. Why on earth, why in God's earth would we bring in Calvert-Lewin, who has hardly kicked a ball? I mean, these are ludicrous reports. For me, Newcastle United will go for somebody who is, not injured all the time. They will look at their background of injuries and bring somebody in who they know can trust to stay fit. What is the point of bringing Calvert-Lewin in when you just don't know when his next breakdown is going to be? This guy jumps for a header and he's out for 3 months. Let's be honest. I mean, I've got nothing against Calvert-Lewin as a footballer. I think he's a very good striker when he's fit. But why on earth would we want to bring another injury-prone striker in? It does not make any sense at all. And that's why I said at the start of this little link here that, you know, when I read the reports, I just chuckled at myself saying, what is the point of writing this? Newcastle United will not be interested in bringing Calvert-Lewin in because they cannot trust him to stay fit. Never mind Wilson and Isak, who we've already got, who are both out injured. You know, it's ludicrous that these people even link this player when it just proves that they just do it to try and get people to click on the reports because they don't do their due diligence when it comes to looking at the club already, thinking, oh, you know, Wilson and Isak, they've had injury problems since they've been at Newcastle. Why on earth would they go for Calvert-Lewin, who's been injured consistently for the last God knows how long? Ridiculous. Listen, as I say, Calvert-Lewin is a very good striker when he's fit, but he can't stay fit. And why on earth would we want to bring another striker in who just can't stay fit? It's crazy. And finally, our old mucker, Mr. Steve Bruce, is in the news again. He gave an interview lately regarding Sean Longstaff. And, of course, Longstaff had criticised our ex-manager for, you know, various things and various ways that he disrupted Sean's career. Now, what I find Steve Bruce's comments amazing is that he said he wasn't mature enough. He needed to mature as a footballer and, you know, was coming back from a really, really nasty injury. Now, take the injury away, right? Look what Eddie Howe's done with Sean Longstaff. And look what Rafa Benitez did with Sean Longstaff, right? Those two managers are quality football managers, right? And can get the best out of anybody, quite frankly. Steve Bruce can't get a prayer out of any player. And we saw that when he was manager. You know, so many players were just not at the races, going downhill. We were a nothing football club. We know that. But the fact that, again, he's refusing to take any blame for what happened to Sean. We know Sean Longstaff suffered a terrible run of form. He just disappeared off the face of the planet. But that was down to you, Bruce. Like a lot of other players. They're now excelling, absolutely excelling under Eddie Howe. Because he's a quality manager. And you, Steve Bruce, are nothing short of disgraceful. Yet again, you're just shifting the blame onto somebody else rather than accepting that you weren't good enough to handle a young player like Sean Longstaff, a quality player like Sean Longstaff, coming through the ranks. You couldn't get the best out of him, just like you couldn't get the best out of the other 11 players that you put on the pitch. One of the worst managers in the Premier League history, and you just refuse to take any blame for anything. You were an utter disgrace. And I'm doing this little bit here on the show because I want to back Sean Longstaff up. Because he's been brilliant since Eddie took over. And yes, he gets his criticism from time to time, but he has been brilliant. And for me, I'm loving the way he's playing. You know, for a guy like Sean, when he's missing out of the team, we can see it. And the fact is that he has a massive influence on the team when he and Bruno are also in the team. So, Steve Bruce, you're an absolute muppet, sunshine, and I'm just so happy that you've nothing to do with our football club anymore. But there you go, guys. That is the daily news. If you have enjoyed the show, please do give it the thumbs up as usual. It really does help the channel in the search results and helps other fans like yourselves find the channel and hopefully subscribe in the future. If you are new and you like what you see, please do hit the subscribe button. It is free to do so. Come and be part of an amazing community here on the Toon Review. But don't forget to hit that notification bell, which will let you know when we schedule our live shows or we upload any videos such as this one. If you're watching this on Thursday afternoon, don't forget, live at 7 p.m. tonight on the channel, we have the Chelsea match preview. So we'll be looking at the possible injuries, possible lineups, tactics, and of course, how the opposition might line up as well. So it'll be a great show. Don't forget that one at 7 o'clock tonight. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.